One day, your home will grow quiet, your phone will stop ringing, and the life you kept putting off will appear right in front of you, like a door that is never going to open again. That is the real fear of old age. It is not wrinkles, it is not grey hair. It is that cruel moment when you realize you were so busy just getting through life that you forgot how to truly live. Money can be earned again after it is lost. Status can be rebuilt after it fades. But a day you wasted is a day you will never get back. So, before regret becomes the voice that follows you through every silent night, ask yourself this: are you truly living your life, or are you just performing it? If this topic touches something deep inside you, it is because you already know the truth most people spend years trying to avoid. Growing old does not destroy a person overnight. It happens quietly, through habits, excuses, delays, and the dangerous illusion that there is always more time. I am not here to scare you for drama. I am here because this pattern is too real, too painful, and it repeats itself in countless lives. People work, chase approval, carry responsibility, and keep telling themselves that one day they will really live. Later turns into someday, someday turns into never, and by the time they wake up, their best years are already behind them. Like a sunset, they were too distracted to stop and watch. That is why this conversation matters, not because growing old is a tragedy. The real tragedy is growing old without meaning, without peace, without ever truly living. So in this video we are going to talk about the quiet mistakes that steal your life before it actually ends, and the things you can still change before regret becomes permanent. The first regret is not failure, it is obedience. It is spending your strongest years becoming who other people wanted you to be, while the real you sat quietly in the dark, waiting for a turn that never came. A lot of people do not lose their lives in one dramatic collapse. They lose them slowly, one compromise at a time. They choose the safe path, the approved path, the path that brings applause, even when their soul feels nothing. Why? Because being accepted feels safer than being real. Because disappointing other people feels terrifying. Because, deep down, many people would rather betray themselves than be judged. But that kind of survival comes with a brutal cost. One day you wake up with the career, the lifestyle, maybe even the image people told you to want, and somehow you still feel strangely empty inside. It is like living in a beautiful house that never once felt like home. You look back and realize you were present in your own life, but you were never truly in it. You have already seen this happen. The man who spends decades in a job he hates just to prove he is responsible. The woman who keeps saying yes to everyone until her own dreams quietly wither away. From the outside they seem fine, but inside, regret has been taking root for years. The truth is this: a life built on approval will always feel borrowed, and every borrowed life comes due eventually. So ask yourself, before it is too late, whose life are you living right now? Because the most dangerous way to waste your life is to call it duty, while your heart is begging for freedom. The second regret is the habit of waiting for the right time, waiting until you have enough money, waiting for the right mood, waiting for a more suitable season of life. It sounds responsible, it can even sound wise, but a lot of the time it is just fear wearing the mask of reason. People tell themselves they will rest when things calm down, they will love when they feel safer, they will travel when work eases up, and they will become themselves when everything falls into place. But life is not a room you clean up before you walk into it. Life is what is happening while you keep postponing it. Psychologically, this is very human. Waiting gives you the illusion of control. It protects you from risk, discomfort, and the possibility that things might not go the way you hoped. But that protection eventually becomes a prison. The longer you wait, the easier it becomes to keep waiting. Days turn into years, your energy fades, your courage shrinks. And then one morning, you realize the perfect time you trusted so much was never real to begin with. You have seen this story before. Someone spends decades saying they will enjoy life after one more promotion, one more bill, one more problem gets solved. But when retirement finally comes, what they get is not freedom, it is exhaustion. Instead of joy, they are left with a quiet sadness for all the moments they sacrificed, for a future that never kept its promise. Here is the warning. The perfect time is one of the most dangerous lies ever sold to the human heart. Start before you feel ready. Speak before your voice feels steady. Live before life teaches you, too late, that delay always comes with a price. The third regret is heartbreak in its quietest form. It is not always losing someone. Sometimes it is having them right there and still never saying what mattered most. A lot of people move through life believing love can wait. They think there will be another dinner, another phone call, another holiday, another chance to say, I am sorry, I miss you, I need you, I love you. But time is not as gentle as we pretend it is. It does not ask whether your heart is ready. It just keeps moving. Psychologically, this regret is painfully simple. People hide behind pride, busyness, awkwardness, and the false belief that real feelings can always be expressed later. Being emotionally exposed scares them, so silence feels safer. But silence is expensive. Because the words you never say do not disappear. They stay inside you, growing heavier and heavier until they turn into grief. You have seen this pain before. A son who thinks he has plenty of time to call his father. A woman who spends years pretending she does not care, only to fall apart when the person she loves is gone. A friendship that dies not because of betrayal, but because of neglect. No explosion, just distance, just silence, just a door closing softly forever. Here is the hardest truth. Love left unspoken is not noble in the end. It is simply wasted. So say it now. Repair what you can while you still can. Reach out while the window is still open. Because one of the cruelest forms of regret is realizing your heart was always full, but your mouth stayed silent. If even one of these regrets feels like it was written specifically for you, stay with me. Because what comes next may uncover the truth most people only understand after life has already taken too much, and time is no longer willing to wait. The fourth regret is one of the cruelest, because it often begins with love. People do not always work too much because of ambition or greed. Many do it because they want to protect their family, pay the bills, live responsibly, and be a source of strength for others. But at some point, devotion turns into disappearance. You keep saying, just a little longer, just one more year, just one more sacrifice. And while you are busy building a life for the people you love, you are slowly disappearing from that very life. That is the psychology behind this regret. Overworking sounds noble. It gives pain a purpose. It makes you believe that the distance of today will somehow be worth it tomorrow. But tomorrow is a very dangerous word. Tomorrow does not hold your child's hand at the dinner table. Tomorrow does not sit beside your spouse during the years when love needs your presence more than it needs your paycheck. Tomorrow also does not give your body back the strength it lost while you were too busy surviving to live. And then one day, the silence tells the truth. Your children grow up around your absence. Your spouse learns how to live without your attention. The home you worked so hard to build starts to feel unfamiliar, like a place you paid for but never really lived in. You have seen this story before. A father gives his family everything except himself. A mother spends decades carrying everyone. only to realize no one ever truly knew her. They are praised for their sacrifice, but inside they are haunted by what that sacrifice cost them. Here is the truth. Success means very little if the people you love only remember the sight of your back as you walk out the door. Work can create a living, but it cannot replace a life. So before your calendar becomes a graveyard of missed moments, do not just ask how much you are earning. Ask what your absence is costing you. The fifth regret is deeply personal because it lives inside your body. A lot of people treat their bodies like machines that can be pushed, neglected, and overridden for years. They ignore exhaustion, stress, lack of sleep, quiet pain, and all the signs that something is wrong. They say they are too busy, too needed, too tangled up in real life to stop and care for themselves. But your body remembers everything, even when your mind tries not to look. Psychologically, this regret makes perfect sense. People often think being strong means enduring more. They confuse self-neglect with discipline. They wear exhaustion like a badge of honor and call it sacrifice, productivity, or responsibility. But the truth is not that noble. Sometimes what we call toughness is really just fear. Fear of stopping, fear of feeling, fear of facing how much damage we have done to ourselves. Then the cost shows up, a diagnosis, a collapse, a morning when getting out of bed feels harder than carrying the whole world once did. Suddenly the energy you thought would always be there is gone, and the life you kept promising yourself you would live later feels farther away than ever. You can postpone rest, but you cannot postpone consequences forever. You have seen this story before. Someone spends decades chasing success, only to lose their health right when they finally have time to enjoy it. A father or mother gives everything to the people around them, then realizes their own body had been crying for help for a very long time. Here is the truth. Your body is not a backup plan. It is the home you are going to live in for the rest of your life. If you ignore it long enough, sooner or later it will force you to listen. So do not wait until pain becomes your teacher. Take care of yourself now, while healing is still easier than regret. The sixth regret is not always choosing wrong. Sometimes it is knowing something is wrong and staying anyway. Staying in the job that is wearing you down, staying in the relationship that has gone cold, staying in the version of yourself that no longer fits, just because starting over feels too frightening. A lot of people do not ruin their lives with one catastrophic mistake. They ruin them through prolonged hesitation, through quiet surrender, through choosing familiar pain over unfamiliar freedom. The psychology behind this is deep. Human beings are wired to seek safety, even when that safety is slowly suffocating them. What is familiar feels manageable. What is unknown feels dangerous. So people stay in places that make them miserable, because at least the pain is predictable. They tell themselves it is too late, too risky, too irresponsible to change. But underneath all those excuses, there is usually one simple fear. If I jump, will anyone catch me? And so the years pass, not loudly, quietly. You keep adapting to what hurts you until your spirit shrinks just to survive. Then one day you look around and realize the prison was never locked. You were just too afraid to push the door. You have seen this before. The man who stays in a dead-end life because it is stable. The woman who keeps shrinking herself to keep the peace. They do not lose themselves all at once. They disappear little by little. The truth is this: whatever you refuse to change, you are eventually choosing. And every day you stay in a life that is breaking you, you are teaching yourself that fear deserves the final word. But it does not. Sometimes the most painful risk is not leaving. It is staying until there is almost nothing left of you. The seventh regret is one of the saddest, because it does not arrive all at once. It comes quietly. A missed call you planned to return later. A friendship you assumed would always be there. An invitation you turned down because you were tired, busy, or just not in the mood. Bit by bit, with no dramatic ending at all, the circle around your life begins to shrink. Then one day you look up and realize the silence in your home no longer feels peaceful. It feels heavy. It echoes. It knows your name. That is how loneliness often begins, not because nobody loves you, but because you slowly stop reaching back. Life changes, people move away, routines fall apart, pride gets in the way, pain makes you pull inward, and after long enough, reconnecting starts to feel awkward, then difficult, then almost impossible. So you tell yourself a comforting lie. Everyone is busy, it is too late now, nobody really cares. But that lie has teeth. It keeps you isolated while your heart quietly starves. The consequences run much deeper than people usually admit. A lonely life does not just hurt on the surface, it changes the texture of every day. Meals grow quieter, evenings grow longer. Joy fades because there is no one to share it with, and pain grows heavier because there is no one close enough to notice. You can survive for a while without deep connection, but you cannot feel truly alive without it. You have seen this story before. The man who retires and finds his whole world reduced to a chair, a television, and his memories. The woman who spends years saying, "I do not want to bother anyone," until nobody knows how much pain she is really in. They do not become lonely in a single moment. They drift there, inch by inch, while still telling themselves they are fine. Here is the truth that cuts through every excuse. Isolation is not peace. It is pain that has gone quiet. So call that friend, visit your siblings, join a group, answer the message. Open the door while there is still someone on the other side willing to walk in. Because one of the saddest ways to grow old is not to be unloved. It is to be surrounded by chances for connection that you were too hurt, too proud, or too afraid to take. At the end of life, people rarely regret the things they bought or the status they chased. They regret the life they did not fully live, the words they never said, the love they never showed, the moments that passed too quickly, the dreams they kept postponing until time quietly closed its hand. And maybe that is the most painful part. Not that life was cruel, but that it had been speaking to them all along, and they were simply too distracted to listen. So let this be your wake-up call. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. You are still here. Your story is still breathing. That means not everything is lost. You can still choose authenticity over approval, presence over distraction, courage over fear. You can still call the person you miss. You can still protect your health. You can still stop abandoning yourself. Growing old is not the tragedy. Waking up too late is. So do not leave this video with nothing but emotion. Leave with a decision, because the life you will regret tomorrow is being built by the things you keep putting off today. If this video touched something deep inside you, do not ignore that feeling. Stay with this channel. Share it with someone you love. And above all, do not wait too long to start living the life your heart has been calling you toward all along.